So we're going to talk a little bit about tapping. This has got an automatic tapping function. It's really great. One thing to note on this is that you don't want to tap anything less than 6 millimeters because you run the risk of shearing that tap off. There's a lot of torque in this machine, and so those smaller diameter taps you want to hand actuate with a hand tapping setup. So, but if you have bigger holes, this is a great machine to do it on. The first thing up here in the panel that we were going to want to notice is we want to switch it to the tapping function. Okay, if you were to read, I don't expect you to read this, but if you were to read number 4 right here, it says tapping must be done in manual mode. Okay, so if somebody were in here messing around on the machine in automatic mode and didn't reset it to manual mode, you would notice that once you hit the green light, it wouldn't turn. So if it doesn't turn, you know that you are in automatic mode and you have to go back through the process of switching back into neutral, which is on the previous video. So, a little bit about the cutting tool. I don't know if you can zoom in on this. This is the style of tap that is the best tap to use, in my opinion. A fluted twist tap. These cut nicer with a lot less friction than your traditional tap that you might see in a tap and die set you get from Ace. At any rate, this is a tap that we are borrowing from the Haas setup. I would encourage you to not do that. Please leave Haas tools over on the Haas machine, and then we'll have separate taps for this machine. But for purposes of this demonstration, this will work for today. What we're going to want to do is chuck this up. Again, you'll adjust all three holes with the chuck key. On the tapping function, you're going to want to set your RPM as slow as possible. I just turned the machine on, so you're not going to see any numbers. It'll just read 0. But just turn it all the way counterclockwise down, and you'll be in the right speed for tapping. Okay, so the next important function of this machine when it comes to tapping is the depth gauge. Okay, the depth gauge actually has a switch in here, a little roller switch that, when engaged, will tell the machine to, instead of turning clockwise, to automatically start going counterclockwise. The reason that's important is that it'll make it such that when you reach the depth of your desired hole, it won't strip out the threads that you just cut. Now, the cool thing about this setup is that you have the ability to, well, let's see, what was I going to say? Well, what we need, let me just skip that thought. What we need to do is adjust the height of this. You see, taps are traditionally a lot shorter, all right? So what we're going to do, since we didn't cover that in the other video, is we're going to go ahead and adjust it. So there's a locking. This is your lock. That, when you loosen that, you can see how we're swinging side to side. This one over here allows you to go up. This and this are the same thing. I don't know why they put 2, but it is what it is. So now what we're going to want to do is position this over our hole. Ideally, we would have done this already. For this demonstration, we're not going to put threads in because we don't have the right setup to do that at the moment. At any rate, what we'll do is we'll imagine that we're going to say this is where we want to stop our threads. And so that you can kind of see how this thing works and actuates. I'm going to go ahead and tighten this back up. So for the purposes of this demonstration, this is good for what we want to do. Okay, it's good that this actually lives over here so it doesn't continually hit people in the thigh or the torso. Alright, so we're going to adjust our depth gauge. And let's say this is as far down as we want it to travel. We're just pretending here. So I'm going to go ahead and lock that out. So what I know is that when the machine grabs onto the material, you're going to apply a little bit of force, and it'll actually grab and grip the material and travel itself. It'll screw itself into the part. So it screws itself in, therefore allowing downward travel, and that's all one cutting motion, and it's all together. And so you'll take your hands off the tool because it'll grab. But when it hits this, it'll automatically go into reverse. So we're going to go ahead and turn the machine on. You'll have your cutting fluid on. You need to have your cutting fluid on for tapping. It's a must. We're going at the slowest speed possible for this machine. We've got our tapping setup selected. And so let's say I'm manually pushing down and I'm engaging the part at this point. So now the machine's going to grip that material and it's going to pull itself down, and then when it gets to the bottom, it goes into reverse and it backs itself out of the hole. So really, the only time you need your hands on this downward lever is to just apply enough force to get the threads started. And once the threads start, it'll start pulling itself down, and you just take your hands off for the rest of the process. And when it gets back to the top, let me show you the cycle. See, it's going down, it reverses, so it's in the reverse mode. It's still in the reverse mode until it's all the way back to the top, and then it starts to go back and it's ready for the next hole. So that's it.